Please, he whispered to himself, pressing the button again. Please, Michael, I just need to warm up. The speaker crackled to life, but it wasn't his son's voice that answered. Who is this? The voice was sharp, irritated, a woman's voice he didn't recognize. It's Robert Matthews. I'm Michael's father. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd... Michael isn't here. The words cut through the intercom like a knife. And you can't just show up unannounced. Robert's heart sank. He'd raised Michael alone after his wife died when the boy was only 8. He'd worked double shifts at the factory, missed sleep, sacrificed everything so his son could go to college, build the successful marketing career he had now. And now he couldn't even wait in the lobby? I understand, miss, but I'm quite wet from the rain. If I could just wait inside until... I said Michael isn't here. There was a pause. Then a sound that might have been a scoff. Look, I don't know what kind of relationship you think you have with Michael, but showing up like some homeless person isn't going to get you money. Robert felt the words like a physical blow. Money? I don't want... I'm his father. His father? The woman's laugh was cold. Right. Michael told me all about you. How you've been calling constantly, making up emergencies, trying to guilt him into supporting you. Well, it's not happening. We have a life to build, and we can't have you constantly dragging him down with your problems. Who are you? Robert asked, his voice barely audible over the rain. I'm Jennifer, Michael's fiancée, and I'm making sure he doesn't get taken advantage of anymore. The intercom went dead. Robert stood there for a long moment. Water streaming down his face, rain mixed with tears he couldn't hold back. Making up emergencies? He'd called Michael twice in the past month, just to hear his voice. The last emergency had been when he fell and bruised his hip, and even then he'd told Michael not to worry, that a neighbor had helped him up. An elderly woman with an umbrella approached the building, her kind eyes taking in Robert's drenched appearance. Are you all right, dear? I'm fine, Robert lied, stepping aside so she could enter. Just waiting for someone. She hesitated, clearly not believing him, but nodded and went inside. Through the glass doors, Robert could see the warm, dry lobby with its modern furniture and soft lighting. He'd been so proud when Michael moved here 3 years ago. I made it, Dad, Michael had said, hugging him tight. We made it. But something had changed in the past year. The calls had become shorter, the visits less frequent. Michael had mentioned someone named Jennifer a few times. Beautiful, ambitious, really going places. Robert had been happy for his son, had even suggested they all have dinner together. Michael had said soon, but soon never came. Now Robert understood why. He turned away from the building, ready to face the long walk home, when a car pulled up to the curb, a sleek black BMW. Robert recognized it immediately. Michael stepped out, phone to his ear, umbrella in hand. Yes, Jennifer, I'm almost... Michael stopped mid-sentence, his eyes locking onto his father's soaked figure. The phone nearly slipped from his hand. Dad? Michael. Robert's voice broke. I'm sorry for showing up. I didn't mean to be a bother. Michael's face went pale. He ended the call without another word and rushed to his father. Dad, my God, you're drenched. How long have you been out here? He immediately draped his jacket over Robert's shoulders. Not long, Robert said softly. I rang up, but Jennifer said you weren't home. She thought it best if I didn't wait. Michael's expression shifted from concern to confusion to something darker, anger. Jennifer told you to wait in the rain. She didn't know it was raining up here, Robert said quickly. Always the one to make excuses, to protect his son from conflict. And she's right, I should have called first. Called first? Michael's voice rose. Dad, you're my father. You don't need permission to... He stopped, really looking at his father for the first time, the worn shoes with the hole near the toe, the cardigan he'd been wearing for 5 years, the way his hands shook from cold or age or both. Come on, let's get you inside. In the elevator, Michael was quiet, his jaw tight. Robert tried to fill the silence with small talk about the bus routes, the weather, anything to ease the tension radiating from his son. But when the elevator doors opened on the 12th floor, Michael's pace quickened. He opened the apartment door to find Jennifer on the couch, wine glass in hand, watching some reality show about wealthy housewives. She looked up with a practiced smile that faltered when she saw Robert dripping on the expensive hardwood floor. Michael, I thought you were... She stood up quickly, setting down her wine. What is he doing here? This, Michael said, his voice unnaturally calm, is my father. And you left him standing in the rain. Jennifer's eyes flickered between them. I told him you weren't home. How was I supposed to know you'd be back in 5 minutes? You could have let him wait in the lobby. You could have shown basic human decency, Michael guided Robert toward the bathroom. I'm getting Dad into dry clothes. We'll talk after. Robert heard Jennifer's voice, sharp and defensive, as Michael closed the bathroom door. Don't blame me for this. You're the one who said he was becoming too dependent, that we needed boundaries. Boundaries? Michael's shout was muffled through the door. I said boundaries, not cruelty. He's 72 years old, Jennifer. Robert sat on the edge of the bathtub, his hands covering his face. This was exactly what he'd feared, becoming. The source of conflict in his son's life, the burden Jennifer had accused him of being. Michael returned with sweatpants and a sweater. Dad, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. It's fine, son, really. Robert took the clothes with shaking hands. You've built a good life here. I understand wanting to protect it. Protect it? Michael knelt in front of his father, and Robert saw tears in his eyes. Dad, you are my life. Everything I have, everything I am, it's because you sacrificed everything for me. Do you remember when I wanted to quit college after Mom's life insurance ran out? You worked 3 jobs so I could finish. 3 jobs at 60 years old. You were so close to graduating. I couldn't let you. And when I got my first real job, and they wanted me to start immediately, but I had nowhere to live in the city, who drove 8 hours to co-sign my lease even though you were recovering from pneumonia? Robert smiled softly. You were starting your career. It was important. No, Dad, Michael's voice cracked. You're important. You've always been important. And I've been so caught up in this new life, in trying to impress Jennifer's family and her friends, that I lost sight of that. He stood up, anger returning to his voice. But that ends now. Michael left Robert to change and returned to the living room. Jennifer was pacing, her arms crossed. Before you say anything, let me explain. You humiliated my father. Michael's words were ice. You left him, standing in the rain, and accused him of being some kind of con artist trying to take advantage of me. I was protecting you. You said yourself that he calls too much, that you feel guilty all the time. Guilty because I haven't been there for him. Like he's always been there for me. Michael's hands were shaking. My dad calls twice a month. Jennifer, twice. And half the time. I let it go to voicemail because you've convinced me that taking care of my father somehow makes me weak or unsophisticated. Jennifer's face flushed. That's not fair. I just think adults should be independent, not relying on their children. He's not relying on me. He never has. Do you know why he was in the neighborhood tonight? Michael pulled out his phone, scrolling through messages. He was picking up heart medication from the pharmacy 3 blocks away because it's $50 cheaper there than at the one near his apartment. $50, Jennifer. And I just bought you a $4,000 handbag last week without even thinking about it. The silence that followed was deafening. When's the last time I visited him? Michael continued, his voice softer now, sad. When's the last time I checked if he had enough groceries? If his heat was working, if he was lonely? He looked at Jennifer with something like recognition in his eyes. You didn't make me neglect him. I did that myself. But you encouraged it. You made me feel like caring about my father was somehow beneath the life we're building. Jennifer's expression shifted from defensive to uncertain. Michael, I didn't mean, I just wanted us to focus on our future. There is no us, Michael said quietly. Not anymore. Jennifer's eyes widened. What? I need you to leave. You're breaking up with me? Over this? Over him? She pointed toward the bathroom, her voice rising to a pitch that made Robert flinch even through the closed door. I'm breaking up with you because of who I've become with you, Michael said. And because when my 72-year-old father stood in the rain, you saw an inconvenience. I need someone who sees what I see, the man who gave me everything. The bathroom door opened. Robert stood there in Michael's oversized clothes, looking small and tired. Son, please don't. Dad, it's okay. Michael walked over and put his arm around his father's shoulders. More than okay. Jennifer grabbed her purse, her face a mixture of shock and rage. You're making a mistake. My father said you were weak, that you'd never be successful if you kept looking backward instead of forward. I defended you, but he was right. Then I'll be weak and unsuccessful, Michael said. But I'll have my father. After Jennifer slammed the door, father and son stood in the quiet apartment. Robert finally spoke, his voice thick with emotion. You didn't have to do that. She seemed to make you happy. She didn't, Dad. I just pretended she did because she fit the image I thought I needed. Michael guided his father to the couch. You make me happy. Being your son makes me happy. I'm sorry it took me so long to remember that. Robert pulled his son into a hug, both of them crying now, years of distance dissolving in that embrace. Over the following months, Michael's life transformed. He visited his father twice a week, helped him move into a better apartment closer to his office, and made sure he had everything he needed. Robert started joining Michael for Sunday dinners, sharing stories that made them both laugh until they cried. And when Michael eventually met someone new, a kindergarten teacher named Sarah, who insisted on meeting Robert on their third date and who teared up when the old man showed her photos of raising Michael alone, he knew he'd finally found someone who understood what mattered. On their wedding day 2 years later, Michael's toast brought everyone to tears. My father taught me that love isn't about grand gestures or perfect moments. It's about showing up, even in the rain, even when the door might not open. Dad, thank you for never giving up on me, even when I gave up on you. Robert stood, his eyes shining, and raised his glass. To family, he said simply. The room echoed. To family? Because in the end, that's what endures. Not careers or status or sophisticated lives, but the bonds we choose to honor, the people we refuse to leave standing in the rain,